This is a part 2 video of chapter 3 dealing with the aggregated data and the objects that we deal with on the aggregated data. And if you will remember, our aggregated data is the legend, the map unit, the data map unit, along with the area type. We loaded up the area types in the previous video, and we're going to discuss now the legends and how these legends are linked to these particular survey areas. We're going to be using the non-erasable survey area. You'll notice that in my legend it is not populated with any data. I have nothing in my local database. I'm going to go back over here in my queries. I'm going to extend the width of my Explorer panel by hovering over, drawing it across so we can see all of the different names of these. And we're going to now take a look at finding a query that will allow us to load up data. I prefer to use this one, area, L map unit, DMU by area symbol. I'm looking for the official data, and I'm looking for this as a national query. There's no filters on this query. I'm going to run this. So I'm going to run this one with the against the national database. I'm going to choose a legend. And notice as when I choose the legend, then the objects that are going to be downloaded are based upon all the objects within the database that can be downloaded, from legend map unit and data map unit as the aggregated data, pet on site, and transect as the point data. I am going to type in KS169 as an example, and we're going to run that one. And what it will have, it'll go to the national database, it'll extract the information for that particular survey area, and then bring it down and populate my local database with that information. So you'll see now that I got one legend, 108 map units, 174 data map units, 210 sites, 210 pet-ons, and 14 transects. I've got quite a bit of information in here. Now I'm going to accept this data and allow it to download. You'll notice that my location is on national right now. It's gathering the information from the national database, and it'll soon begin downloading that information and then installing it into my local database. And now that information is contained inside my local database, and it changes to local. Now I'm going to switch and use a different query because I want some additional filters. And so now I'm going to use the official one above that, and I'm going to run this against my local database, and now I've got some additional filters in this particular query that I didn't have in the previous one. For the benefit of running this data and explaining how these objects work, I'm going to choose the area. I'm going to choose legend map unit, and data map unit. And then of course I've only got one survey area, but I'm still going to type in KS169. And then I'll only want the correlated map units, and I only want those data map units that are marked as my representative data map unit. And those are the two filters that I was explaining to you earlier. I want only correlated, and I only want the representative data map unit. So now when I run this query, it'll say you've got one area, 45 legend map units. Pardon me, I did choose legend map unit instead of legend. Had I chose legend, it would have said one legend. 45 map units and 45 data map units. And if you'll remember back, we had 105 map units, 174 data map units. So I filtered this is the first method of filtering your information into your selected set. So I'm going to say yes, I want this to be added to my selected set. And now I can come over to the area type. Now, you need to be aware of the fact that I have already queried the database on the local database to pull in all the area types. And in doing so, I have already loaded up all of the area types and all of the areas that are within the Pangea site for the area type object. So what I'm doing now is I am appending to that first query a set of information for the legend for KS169. So keep that in mind when you're running NASIS. You're constantly appending the information that's already in your selected set. I can come down here and open this up, and you can see that all of the areas already exist. And I can come down to KS169. And KS169 is Saline County, 461,000 acres. Now, I come over here to area, and I'm going to go ahead and minimize my Explorer panel by clicking on the double arrows. And here is the area. Now, this area, this is a banner, by the way, and if you remember from the previous chapter, the first record here is called a banner, and then the second record row of information is called columns. So we provide you in the legend table the area so that you understand where you're working at. Pardon me. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to right click. I'm going to do a best fit all columns to try to minimize the size of some of these. Now, we're working in NSSC Pangea, non-MLRA soil survey area. That was the area type that you saw. KS169 is the area symbol that I queried for, and that is Saline County, Kansas, and here's the area acres. You saw all of this in the area type and area table. This particular legend is published. Correlated date is 06/1989. This is a detailed soil map unit out of the Denver, Colorado MLRA office. This is the date the MOU was signed. NRCS is responsible for that MOU. This geographical applicability, current wherever mapped, is a key column that we use to identify those particular legends that are up on the soil data mart. And then the remaining information are the ownership. This is owned by the MLRA 5 Denver office. Kansas State Office is the group that owns that. Every member that's in that particular group can edit it. This was when the object was last dated, and the object was last updated by John Warner on 8/28. And if this particular record had been checked out and edited, the record last updated and the person who updated it would be right there. Now, this is very limited information, but it just basically ties this area to a list of map units. And when we open up the legend map unit table, here's the legend map unit, you'll notice that legend map unit, area overlap, certification, and export certification, and the legend text are all available here. Okay, here are the listing of map units that are linked to this particular legend. Once again, we have a banner, and this banner is a bold italic banner, just like this one is. And that basically tells you that this information appears in the legend map unit table, but it's really housed in the map unit object, the map unit table. So we've got the national map unit symbol, the map unit names, and the map unit type, all coming from the map unit table. In this particular table, we've got the sequence number and the map unit symbol. Notice that the map unit symbol as a column header is in bold and italics, meaning that it is a required field for this table. You have to have a map unit symbol. You also have to have a status, and the status is also bold and italic. We have the total acres that map unit represents in this legend. We have the farm classification, which is 1. I'm going to check this out so that you can see what the different choice lists are. Just omit that. So here's the various choices. So this one is all areas prime farmland. And then you also have a secondary, and if this state happened to have had any other farmland classifications, they would be appearing in this secondary. And then I'm not going to go into some of the details on that. Once again, we've got our ownership, our last updated by, and who it's the date and who it was edited by. We've included into this new table a new table, and the new table is legend map unit history. We have always had the legend map unit text. This is where you'd put any notes that you'd want to populate about that map unit. And then the legend map unit history is where you would go in to identify any correlation changes to that name. And that's where you capture correlation events. So I hope that gives you a brief summary now of the legend object. This is the end of part 2 of chapter 3 video series.